Pleasant afternoon to everyone joining us via the World Wide Web, via our Facebook page at Grenada Development Bank. And it is my pleasure to welcome you to the first episode of our program, Financing Forward with the GDB, where we will be talking about all our product updates, the technical support that you can get through the GDB, and we will also be talking about new products that we have, as well as sharing financial tips with you. So, again, welcome to the program. And our very first guest for this program is none other than our General Manager, Mr. Royston Cumberbatch. Welcome, Mr. Cumberbatch.
Thank you. Right, so greetings to everyone who is watching live and to those who will watch this on the repeat. And this is something actually I initiated because I think first of all, actually, our board actually challenged me and our management team to make sure that we get our products out. Because what's often happens is that GDB has good products, very good products. Matter of fact, GDB has helped thousands of persons over the years. But sometimes persons in the community who need help don't even know much about the GDB, much less know what products and services GDB offer. So this is something that I fully endorse, and that's why I decided to take the leap and be the first guest.
All right, so thank you for that. So let's get straight into it. But before I do that, I just wanted to encourage everyone to keep in touch with the GDB by following our social media platforms. We have Facebook, we have LinkedIn, and we have Instagram, and the handle is at Grenada Development Bank. So you could also follow along with this episode and others to come. It's every Wednesday we'll be having this conversation for just about 15 to 20 minutes, and it will be at 2 o'clock, so you can put it in your calendars. So just to start out, Mr. Cumberbatch, what are the key priorities for the Grenada Development Bank for 2025 and beyond?
Yeah, thanks. Great question. So effectively, since I joined the bank back in 2023, I worked with the board of directors and a number of stakeholders, internal and external, to work on what is called a strategic plan, a 3-year strategic plan. I mean, furthermore, it actually has to be a rolling 3-year strategic plan. And then from that, from a management perspective, what we actually do is that we break that down every year into priority objectives. So we really focus a lot on deliverables. Now, in terms of what we want to do this year, for example, number one is digitalization. I mean, the GDB has been around for a long time, but it's very manual. I mean, customers can't necessarily make online payments. We still actually write receipts. By the end of the year, hopefully, we're actually going to be printing receipts and actually emailing the receipts to persons. So that's actually one of the big things that we're actually looking to do. Just process efficiency. So, for example, you come for a loan, why should you have to wait so long to get an update on whether your loan is approved or it's under assessment, etc. So I'm really driving, certainly the board, myself, management team, we're really working hard with the staff to make sure actually that we turn around the culture to a more what is called customer-centric culture, rather than just a process-driven culture where we focus on actually just, this is what you do, you bring in this, etc. We should really try to put the customer first and put the customer feelings first, right? So we focus a lot on that, and therefore we have a lot of customer engagement things that we're also doing, like you might see us out in the community. More, for example, this year, for example, the credit team have embarked on going out and actually visiting customers, not just those who are not paying, but importantly, visiting those who are paying and have always paid well. And as the GIDC, we do something called aftercare. I think aftercare is something that we should always do, because that is how we learn how our customers have progressed. And we also can actually discuss, additional development financing, etc. So the big things, as I said, digitalization, looking to customer engagement, also operational efficiency, and then risk and compliance. So, I mean, risk is a very emerging thing, right? Of course, we are regulated, and whatever we do, if we try to move faster, we still have to do things within policies and procedures. So we also focusing on risk and compliance. I mean, then we have a number of other things that we do, like automation, and being able to report faster, have more data to do more deeper analysis. So there's a number of things that we're actually doing. But most importantly, the one thing we must shift the needle on is better customer service and more customer focus, putting you, the customer, at the heart of everything that we do.
All right, thank you. So lots of work to be done. And the bank also recently has a new mission and vision to be the cornerstone of national development, to play its role in national development. So, in terms of this new mission and vision, what is the push that we can expect over the next few years?
Thank you. I think the mission is about enabling opportunities for all. And when we say all, we're talking about individuals, we're talking about businesses, and businesses are most times the one that we deal with, especially on the MSME side, or actually still individuals trading as something, of course, companies and communities, right? And enabling opportunities for all, we mean through financial products, and most importantly, I think support. One of the things I really advocate for is that we can't just give finance. Finance in itself is not development, right? We must actually give that support, that guidance, that actually will help persons to develop themselves and their businesses. So, for example, even today, I was talking to one of my loan officers. We just approved, a loan facility for someone. And I was saying to her, I noticed, for example, that he applied in his own name, but why doesn't he have a business name? And even when person has business name, and even companies sometimes, they still put all the personal money into the personal account, also all the business money into the personal account, and they just manage the business like if, it's a susu, or it's really run badly. I think more persons can actually build wealth and have more money to invest if they actually just manage the money better. Of course, technical support goes wider than just managing money, because we deal with people like farmers, fisher folks, and a wide spectrum of persons. Those persons also need technical support. And I'm not expecting that GDB to always have that support in-house, but we should know who can we refer that customer to, right? In some cases, it might be a ministry. In some cases, it might be an individual or a company. And by doing that, that is when we actually enabling opportunities for all. Yeah, a more encompassing approach.
All right. And just to switch gears a little, for this first episode, we wanted to take a look at our mortgage program because GDB has long been a trusted partner in terms of helping Grenadians own their own homes. So we have some updates. If you could just provide us with one or two updates, that you think our listening public would really want to hear, and then we will get into a new product that we have that is connected to mortgage, looking at equity release.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Rhea. So mortgages, right? So mortgages, some people, mortgages is something that some persons are maybe skeptical about, because of course it's one of the biggest debt that you can actually take on, right? But it's very important to take a mortgage to actually sometimes own your home. And oftentimes, there's a mortgagor, there's a mortgagee, right? And you, the mortgagee, the person who actually take the loan, you actually own the asset. The asset is yours. And when it actually increase in value, that increase in value is also yours. So the GDB traditionally, started off maybe doing more agricultural loans, more loans in the productive sector. I think in the last 5 to 6 years, the bank had a big push on mortgages. As a matter of fact, today, I think of all the products that we have, all the sectors that we have, mortgages is still about 55% of our full portfolio. And we have probably around $100 million in loans that we actually yet to receive, i.e. advance that we actually given out. And that's just for the GDB core. Of course, we have other products that we run for the government, like the small business, we have other grants and many other programs that we have. All our programs together is probably well over $150 million under management. But going back to the mortgages, mortgages has grown a lot for the GDB. In recent time, as much as last year, this year, we've been focusing a lot on supporting the low to middle income persons, the persons who really need a home, and that is persons maybe who get in a home through the government, through the phase 2 Chinese homes, as they are called, through an authority of Grenada, and just anybody who actually wants a home and maybe can't afford a home. We try to help them. But we tend to favor and give good interest rates, I would say, to government workers. Quite a big portfolio of our mortgage is actually government workers. And I think maybe, who knows, we might even have one of the lowest interest rates for mortgages for government workers. Of course, with the whole trust of the government to actually, build more homes, Project 500, etc. I think the GDB has to think bigger, not just only funding the person who wants a mortgage, but maybe start thinking about actually funding development, funding a whole housing scheme. So one of my biggest challenges actually to go out there and try to, raise, tens of millions or tens of hundreds of millions or whatever amount, lots of money, lots of millions, let's say, for national housing development projects. So that's some of the things that we're actually doing. I mean, we continue to give mortgages, but I think I would like to see the bank also give a lot more loans in what I call the productive sector, right? That's agro-processing, manufacturing, agriculture, and even some of the more emerging sectors. An area that actually we're really looking at, which is like, green financing, alternative energy. Even within the homes, we actually want to focus more on what's called climate resilient homes. We all know what happened when Hurricane Beryl hit Carriacou and Petit Martinique mainly, of course, northern Grenada as well. A lot of the homes were destroyed. So I'm saying going forward, as we look to fund more homes, I think we, the management, the board, we actually want to focus a lot on funding what is called climate resilient homes. And we actually have a drive right now to go out there and raise funding for these large scale programs.
All right. So, and now I just want to tack on the equity release mortgage or the equity release facility that we have, because sometimes persons get a mortgage, but they may want to add on something and they would like to have it as a bundle package. So what has the GDB been working on to make this happen in terms of equity and the persons being able to use equity within their mortgage or their property to fund other things that they want to do?
Yeah, so let's talk about equity. I think I mentioned it earlier. To put it quite simple, you take a mortgage, and from that mortgage, of course, you owe the bank, right? I said you own the asset. You have the asset. And when you finish paying the bank, you have the asset anyway. But during that period, and that period could be 20, 30 years for many persons, during that period, you may make enhancements to the property, or even if you don't make enhancements anyway, the property value will go up over time, right? And that difference between the value of the property and the debt you owe is called equity. And that equity belongs to you. In Grenada, I realized that maybe some of the banks, even credit unions, they're probably actually giving loans on these products. It's something, for example, that I am fully aware I've utilized, I think, probably to the maximum I can, while living in the UK, leveraging equity to do further development, into properties and into other things that you want to develop in, your children education, etc. So at the GDB, I'm proud to say that we have approval for this product. The board have actually approved, whereby if you're an existing customer, you must be an existing customer, of course, and your mortgage is you're paid on some of your mortgage, and your property value is high. So your mortgage is down here, your property value is a little bit higher. You have some equity in between there. You can actually take some of that equity, right? But you have to we will still make sure that you actually leave back 20% equity with us. So of course, markets can drop, etc. So there's still a bit of a buffer. And with that equity, you can use that for your children education. You can use that to enhance the property, which is probably a great advice, or you can even use that for medical expenses or other things that you may want to do, Potentially, my best advice would be to say, use that for further wealth. Develop, buy something or invest in something that can even make you more money to help you pay down the mortgage faster. All right, that would be my best advice. But of course, sometimes you have to just use it to go on holidays. I don't know. Maybe you want to go around the world. You want to take an expensive holiday. I don't know. It's your money. You take it. You do what you want with it. So that's what it's really about.
Okay, so could you provide us with, let's say, a real world example? So just walk us through how someone can use equity release for business investment or invest in their future.
A real world example. Actually, we actually have a staff member who have actually used it because, of course, GDB provides loans to staff as well. And what the staff member actually did is that where he has a business and he probably has his property here on mortgage for a little while. His value has gone up because he's invested in it, and he's taken out some money and he's invested into his business. I mean, I won't call name, of course, but I'm saying even staff has done it. I'm also aware where a person who is not a staff have actually used the equity release to fund their child education. So, for example, the person, over the years, they've been paying on the mortgage, the value has gone up. Now they want to fund the child education, and the interesting thing is that by taking an equity release, their interest rate is your existing mortgage rate. And that existing mortgage rate is actually lower than our educational loans. Of course, you're increasing your mortgage, but you're investing in your child. That child will go away and study. They will qualify. They will come back, and who knows? It might help you pay on the mortgage faster. So that's why I said, you use that monies for investing.
Right. And you mentioned, just to go back to the mortgage, that the GDB wants to really invest in climate resilience, especially in homes. So I know that we do have some special incentives for persons who would like to get a mortgage with the GDB. So if you could talk a little bit about that incentive.
Yeah, so we tell them a new product that we approved this year. In fact, if you actually are invested in a home that is climate resilient, has green elements in it, for want of a better word, I believe we can even give you maybe up to 0.5% or even 1% reduction in your interest rate. Of course, the GDB has for some time been actually helping persons to put solar PV on their roofs, etc. We even have products, I think the 5Cs product that we actually can, is a grant to us, and we can on lend to you, at a very, what they call concessionary rates. So we continue to have products like that. Of course, we also want to drive to go out there and maybe even get accredited, with the GCF and then even go and raise a lot of monies, even to help, as I said, with things like climate resilient homes or just solar PV or just even sometimes it's not just your home. Because if actually a hurricane hits, you still have to have, water storage, and you still have to have, maybe even electricity that you can generate from solar, etc. Right? So the whole thing about climate resilience and is not just about preparing for a hurricane in terms of your home. It's also about you and your livelihood. If a hurricane hits, how would you survive? And all these things that we are looking to fund.
All right. So just for the listeners joining us, welcome to Financing Forward with the GDB. I see we have persons online going along the discussion with us. Remember, you can share it with your friends so that they can get the information as well. And just moving along in the discussion, I just wanted to touch on business growth and how is the GDB supporting micro, small, and medium enterprises, and how important is that to the national development in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique?
Yeah, good question. I would say the MSME sector, right, which is micro, small, medium enterprise, is probably the engine of the economy, right? And because everywhere you look, I mean, if you want to buy something to wear, you want to buy something to eat, you want to make groceries, you have to go to a business, right? Like if you want to buy a car, you have to go to a business. If you want to buy lumber, you want to buy cement. So the business sector is something that actually all of us rely on. And the GDB does actually support businesses as well. I would say micro business, small businesses and even some large businesses. Some of the larger businesses that we have helped is actually more in the agricultural or agribusiness space, and I'm really proud about that, right? Now, in terms of just helping the micro sector, so of course, since 2013, has been a small business development fund that I think been given loans up to 25,000 in recent times, up to 40,000. We have potentially hundreds, maybe close to 1,000 persons who actually benefited from this. Since COVID, the rate has been 1%. I don't know anywhere in Grenada that you can actually go and get a loan for 1%. There's a 1% up to $40,000. And of course, you're just starting. All big businesses that you see today have started small. For example, even Amazon. Amazon actually started in Jeff Bezos' parents' garage. Yeah, so the same Amazon that you buy things from and it comes next day started in his parents' garage, right? So the small business is really, really important. So we help fisher folks, we help retail, persons doing retail, persons doing agriculture, a wide range of sector. Persons get loans up to that 40,000 limit, and currently at 1%. We are looking at that. I mean, I potentially think that maybe even the micro sector is something that potentially we should give a lot of emphasis into, and maybe be even giving more micro loans, maybe up to 100,000 or even more at a low percentage. But of course, as I said, we also give loans. Currently, some of the biggest loans on our book are multiple millions, like 3 million, 4 million. But recently, through our new products that we've actually approved, we've agreed to give just a maximum of 2 million per business. Right? So of course, if you have several companies or several businesses, you can get 2 million each. But we've actually funded some businesses that you maybe even shop from or even use the products every day. All right. So GDB has played a really, really crucial and continue to play a crucial role in actually helping the MSME sector. We have programs coming on stream like the Youth in Business, which is for youths that will actually give small loans to youths. We also have the Youth in Agriculture coming as well on stream. Since I came into GDB, we also signed an MOU for the Creative Fund. All creatives can get a loan up to 50,000 at 2%. So look, if you're a creative, and by the way, a creative covers a lot of people, a lot of persons. Once you have anything creative about you, maybe you can qualify. Just register with GOCA, the Grenada Office of Creative Affairs, and come to the GDB, apply. And we have, with the creatives, we have a voucher program up to $5,000 to help you with marketing, bookkeeping, or just branding. We also have grants of up to $25,000 to help you with anything that actually helps the community. And we have loans up to $50,000 at 2%. So again, this is a big sector helping specifically the creatives. A lot of persons in the creatives have actually benefited from this. And as I said, we have supermarkets, we have transportation sector, a number of sectors. I think I can speak about this all day. I would like to see us doing more business loans, and probably more business loans whereby actually make an impact, right? I mean, I think the GDB should focus more on impact. And impact could be in terms of employment or productivity. For example, businesses that actually produces stuff for export and so on. Yep.
All right, thank you for that. And we're getting to the point where we're winding up the program. For those of you joining us online, if you would like to ask a question, you can comment and we'll see your question and address it one time. Moving on to our young people and education, we have persons that will be going on to tertiary education, those doing the CXC exams. Then we have those at TAMCC probably wanting to go further to get their bachelor's and master's. So what financing options, briefly, does the GDB offer to young people to support their dreams of tertiary education?
Yeah. So for student loans are like number 2 in our whole sector, apart from mortgages, then actually there's student loans. Of course, we have the special student loan for persons who are, for a better word, vulnerable, have a low income. And then, of course, we have regular student loans. And we're also looking at other student loan products. We even have what they call for those who are working and then you want to study whilst you're working. We also have a loan for that. We are trying to focus a bit whereby we actually help persons with loans, because we realize that with students and young persons, they don't necessarily have assets. So we actually do, the board, we actually looking quite closely at how can we maybe assess persons based on the character. How can we assess persons based on the potential? I had some a parent here recently, and they were saying to me that their child, was a valedictorian. They've been acceptable. They were accepted in a top university. Things like that. Of course, we want to support those. We actually realize that many persons, have the potential, but once they finish TAM, CC, etc., they just don't have that support to go further. I'm really privileged myself to have actually benefited from a loan from the GDB back in 1997. I took a loan. I went to the UK and I studied. I qualified as an accountant. I think without the GDB, I wouldn't be where I am today. So that's why I think we need to focus a lot on helping persons, just to get to that next step with their education. And by the way, we are doing that. I think we really want to spend some more time helping those who may not get help from a commercial bank.
All right. And a reminder again, you can comment your questions so that we may see it and address it as we are live presently. And just to wrap up the program, get into final messages, how does the bank ensure that it stays connected to the real needs of the public in terms of constantly looking at ways to improve and develop and meet the needs of individuals and businesses?
Okay, great question. So, of course, the best way to get, understand what the public wants is to do what's called a needs analysis, right? Or to do a study of, what people want. You can go there and do, for example, a census or a survey. What we've been doing recently is actually going out there. Matter of fact, we've been to Guelph, what they call a community outreach. We actually been to St. Mark's, and we've been to Carriacou. We've been to Petit Martinique.
Yes.
And I think next place, I don't know, maybe we should go to St. David's. I don't know. I'm just picking a place. But when we go out there, what we should be doing, and I hope we're doing that, is actually listening to the people and taking their feedback. What areas of development are needed, even in the community, right? And we should be taking all that data back, analyzing it, and then developing products to actually meet the needs. Now, one of the things that I did during what I call our strategy sessions, I had a session with the Ministry of Finance, including the policy unit, and we brainstormed and discussed based on data that the Ministry of Finance has, what products and services are needed right now. But I think as we continue to engage with the customer, on avenues like this, like here we are on Facebook Live. If you think, for example, that the community or the country needs more lending in this area, send us a message, and then we will do our best to try to look at it and assess it, of course, not because you say you want us to start funding, something, we just start doing it. It needs to be it needs to be viable even for the bank, right? But generally, we are listening to the customers. We also have customer surveys as well that we do once a year, and we will continue to actually do that to get feedback. So thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you will tune in for other sessions.
All right. So just before we sign off, final message for someone listening who is unsure about applying for a loan at the GDB. What would you like to tell them?
Yeah, my message to you is that come in and talk to us. We're actually making some changes in our approach of helping persons. One of the change that we actually making is actually a recent change. We actually appointing someone special just to talk to you about, not yet a loan officer, someone who will just take time to listen to you, understand what you want, and even maybe help you package your application before it actually moves on. I think generally we have some very good loan officers, persons who are patient and who will take time and listen and actually help you. And we are actually making big efforts to change the culture as well, to make sure that we even more focused on you, the customer. So please come in, please have a chat with us if you're thinking about an educational loan, a business loan, or maybe you want to set up an agribusiness, a factory. I don't know whatever you want to do. Come in and chat with us, and we will do our very best to help you. Thank you.
All right, so Mr. Cumberbatch, I would like to thank you for joining us for this first episode of Financing Forward with the GDB. Remember, it will happen every Wednesday for the next few Wednesdays at 2 p.m. sharp. So mark your calendars for this program. We'll be giving our product updates. You heard about equity release today. You've heard about our mortgage in terms of incentives for adding climate resilience applications to your home. You've heard about student loans, our small business loan, our GDB business loans that support business growth. And there's much, much more to come. We will have another member of our staff next week looking at another product, giving updates. So we would want you to stay tuned for that. And remember, you can follow along at Grenada Development Bank. That's our handle. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And this program will be live every Wednesday at 2 p.m. on our Facebook page. I am the host for the program, Ria Murray. I'm the Communications Officer of the Grenada Development Bank, thanking each and every one of you for joining us. And we will welcome you back next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Financing Forward with the GDB. Thank you.